Hi, welcome to ITC561 Topic 5. I'm Peter White. I'm going to give you a quick idea of what's in this really quite important topic. So Topic 5, we talk about risk management and security in the cloud. So this topic really sits at the heart of cloud computing. We've seen in our earlier topics when we've looked at the various different concepts, the different patterns and architectures that can be used, and we've seen that enterprises really want to move into the cloud for a number of different reasons. Some of it's about reduction of cost, perhaps get more reliability, some more flexibility, faster response, give them better DR. There's a number of different reasons enterprises will want to move off into the cloud. But all this comes with the cost. And part of that cost is that the enterprise no longer has complete control over its infrastructure. It's now under the control, or some of it is under the control, of a public cloud supplier. So this is where risk management comes into play. The aim with the risk management, when we start to look at it, particularly from the cloud, is to assess the risks to the business and its data. Note that it's to the business and its data. So we're not looking just at the technical risks about how do we protect a web server or an EC2 instance or something on Lightsail. We're looking at what are the business risks here? What are the risks to the data? So that's where the focus is. Once we know that, and once we understand that risk, we can then put the correct technical controls into place in order to mitigate that risk and reduce the problems and the risks to the enterprise. That is our aim in ICT. So when we look at it, we'll see there's a number of different risk management approaches we can use. There's the NIST risk management approach, which comes out in the special publication 800-37, which is the one that Earl uses in the textbook that we use. There's the ISO series, the 27000 series, particularly 27001, 27002. 27001 is the ISMS, Information Security Management System. 02 is the controls, and so forth. 17 is controls for the cloud. COBIT has a system, ITIL has a system. All of these risk management systems can be used. But we'll look particularly at the NIST one at this stage, just because it's in the textbook and it does match with a lot of the others. So we also need to think about other things, and where we'll start to read in this particular topic is to pull in some stuff, particularly from government. Now, the Australian Signals Directorate, which formerly was Defence Signals Directorate, has also put out a set of really interesting additional security considerations for government agencies. That's for Australian federal government agencies, but most state agencies follow them as well. So these additional considerations may be something you want to include in your risk management process. And in fact, what we've found from my time in cybersecurity in New South Wales is that a lot of private companies follow the ASD recommendations and guidelines as well. But we also need to look at some actual implementations. And so what I've pulled is an older one from New South Wales Government, come from the Office of Finance and Services, part of New South Wales Department of Treasury. And they put out a set of cloud service guidelines, particularly, and there were some issues around the way in which they did their threat and risk assessment questionnaire. And so I recommend that to you for reading, to get an understanding of how people approach this, right? You won't be assessed on this, but it's a good way to understand how do we approach it? How has somebody else done this? And so you then can start to look at how do I move on with my assessment. So as I said, there is a fair amount of reading in this particular part of the topic, and a couple of good videos as well. So these are the absolute essentials you need to read, right? Out of the textbook, you need to read Chapter 10 and Appendix C. You've got to get your understanding around that, because that lays down the basis for the risk management framework, the NIST version. I recommend you go and have a look at the NIST version, and this is the second one, the NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology. That's their guide for applying the risk management framework to federal information systems. You've got a link there directly to it. And also the ASD, used to be the DSD, put out their cloud computing security considerations in 2011, but updated them last year. And again, there's the current link. One thing with those two links, these are links I would actually recommend you bookmark, because you can go back to these places, and both NIST and the ACSC, the Australian Cybersecurity Centre, which is run by Australian Signals Directorate, has a lot of really good information in there, particularly on cloud computing. So you may want to go back there on a regular basis. The two videos I recommend you watch is the one by Cloud Pro UK on cloud computing security and risk for business, and the second one by the public sector partners on using evidence-based risk management in the cloud. So they are good videos that you need to sit down and have a look at, and this will give you a good understanding of, again, how different people approach this particular problem. The second part of this particular second section, of this topic is around cloud security. And so this is where you need to have a pretty clear and full understanding of the methods used to provide security in the cloud. But you also need to understand the issues and the problems surrounding security, because if you understand that, it makes more sense to you about how you can apply the controls. There are a lot of readings in this particular section and one good video. So what I would suggest is take the time to at least quickly scan each paper and make some notes about its content and ideas. Then you can go back when you need to. Right. Now, what I've done in the topic here is given you a brief précis of each paper so that you've got an idea of which are the ones you think you need to read first. And these papers, this list of papers you have here, excuse me, are ones that you will probably continue to refer to throughout your career. So make sure you keep copies, or better yet, add them into your reference manager. And you are using EndNote now, aren't you? If not, it might be the time to start considering. Tactics. There's no discussion of cloud security is really complete without a discussion of the tactics we should use to secure us. This is something that comes in the lecture. So this is an additional thing, something for you to look forward to. Only a very short section in the lecture, because the tactics you will use for most contexts will probably be somewhat different. But this is something that I've been doing in New South Wales government for some time. This is a distilled approach from a number of different production systems that we've moved, particularly into the AWS public cloud. And it's provided us with a good base level, a starting point for security. So here are some tactics that you can probably pick up and use. As I said, fairly basic, but they will certainly help to add security to your particular cloud deployment. One extra bit. You've probably heard about the term, or heard of the term, data sovereignty. Now, this is normally in part of a discussion about where the data should be stored and what jurisdiction it comes under and so forth. Now, it's not strictly part of this subject, but it's a concept you should be aware of. So here's an additional paper to read, put it away. Don't have to read it during this session. You can put it away, read it in the midterm break or next year, whenever, but you probably will refer to it. So this is from the Uni of New South Wales Faculty of Law, and it talks about data sovereignty in the cloud, and it's aimed at the board and executive officers. So it's a fairly high level one, relatively short, but definitely a keeper, something to really think about and be aware of. So how's this topic fit? Okay, as I said earlier, this will fit into, this is really part of the heart of cloud computing, assessing risk and making sure that it's right. But this also helps you to meet a couple of learning outcomes, because one of the outcomes is able to identify and design an IT risk management strategy for a cloud computing delivery plan. So, once you've done this and understand the process for risk management, understand the process for risk assessment and security, then you can start to do that. It also helps you to critically analyze business requirements to plan that migration, because now you're going to start to look at the business requirements in terms of risk. Right, and that is something that really becomes quite important, particularly as you move up out of the technical levels. Right, so you need to understand that and think of this from the business point of view, not just from the technical point of view of a particular server or a particular data set. It has to be looked at from the business point of view. So this is going to be of some assistance to you in doing assignment 4, where you've got to develop a report to the board, which, amongst some other things, requires you to assess the information security risks to a proposed migration and then recommend some controls around it. And of course, there will certainly be a question on it in the final exam. But more importantly, this is knowledge that you'll constantly use in your workplace as you plan your cloud deployments for your enterprise. So I hope you get something from this particular topic. It's quite a good one. If you've got any questions, raise them on your discussion board. Raise them with your lecturer, and we'll see what we can do to resolve them for you. See you soon.